Yeah, I can hear you. I don't see anything. If you want to screen share, thanks for
Okay,
dropping by. Maybe the
thank you.
turn was yesterday, Norm, huh?
Oh yeah, actually, if you read my letter, it was yesterday. I would have liked to come on yesterday, but I had a schedule conflict.
Oh well, it's all right. I did it without you. But I
Well, thank
thought, I always look at your turning points within a day or two of it. So when you tell me you have something coming, I start paying closer attention to it because if you hit it within a 24-hour time frame, that's close enough for government work for me.
thank you. I'm
So
working on screen sharing. Let's see.
I wonder if it's me. It's like, no, it's not me. You go up to the left-hand corner with the green box and arrow.
I did that. I clicked on that, and then what happens?
Then a screen will show up.
How about that? Can you see that now?
No,
Oh, okay. I'm gonna
then a
click on the
screen
green.
to look.
Yeah, screen. Then what do I do with that?
Then start. Then click start.
Start. Oh, okay. Oh, I see. They got little thumbnails that you click on,
Yeah, there you go.
and you start your screen share. Now, can you see that now?
Yep.
Is that a
Okay.
yes?
Yes, we've got it, Norm. Thank you.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. We're good to go.
Yeah, this is Norm Winski. Everyone who's not familiar with him, I just assume everyone is because we hear from Norm usually about once every 30 days because there's always something happening in the skies that are significant. Norm would say probably every week there's something, or every day there's something. But I want to thank you for being a regular contributor and sharing your planetary work with us, Norm.
Well, thank you very much for having me on, Dale. Appreciate it.
Happy Hanukkah.
You happy Hanukkah to you, and happy holidays to all your listeners.
So make us happy. What's the big play coming up here?
Well, as you mentioned, let me just do a quick review of the stuff from last month,
Sure.
so we can see what's working, and we might learn something from that.
Yeah.
One of my top things, Dale, is the what what's called a station point. That's due to the relative motion of the Earth. We have what's called apparent motion, how things appear in terms of the planets. If we were to go out in the night sky and plot the planets, it appears that the planets, on occasion, individually, stop their motion and then reverse their direction. We know that physically they don't do that, so you don't have to call the guys in the white coats, right? I don't really believe that they do that physically, but Einstein would tell you that relative motion is important. Just like when you're driving a
Sometimes,
car.
uh, sometimes my equity moves in reverse, even though I'm sitting in my chair.
There you
So
go.
I can relate.
There you go.
So what are we
So if you're
looking
driving,
at? Is this the S&P with your fractal?
well, this is the chart we're looking at right now. Was last month's forecast, the blue line.
Okay.
If you're familiar, ever heard of Donald Bradley? Some of your listeners might have heard of Bradley's model. This is a Bradley style model. Read his book back in the early 70s. And so we quantify what the planets are doing, the different angular relationships, and plot them on a graph. The problem with the Bradley model is that it works well for a while and then it tends to flip upside down. This has long been a problem for anybody doing this kind of work. Cycle inversion. You're probably familiar with that, Dale.
Yeah,
And so,
I've noticed that with the Bradley Seidel and the others that you have a turning point, but you don't know in what direction.
right. Well, the old running joke among my friends that were into this is over a beer we go, gee, if we only forecast when it's going to flip upside down, we can all get rich. So anyway, here's what So the station points often correspond to a inversion in the energy. So they can turn it can turn a positive energy into negative energy and vice versa. So here we have a white box with a red arrow. That's a station point. You got a little planetary symbol there for Neptune. SD, stationary drift. That means it's going to stop and turn to go forward. It was going backwards, and that's in Pisces. So that I was forecasting that there. When I went on your show a month ago, I said watch out for around the 17th, 18th. I was looking for a turn there. I was off a day. It turned on the 16th, and then amazingly, based on astrological rules. Uh, the market should have been going down, 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 but I forecasted it was going to invert here and go up, up, up. So now I think we're still possibly in the inverted mode, and we had some very, under traditional rules, very negative cycles here into Thanksgiving and early December, and the market continued to have an upward bias, and that's what I was looking for because I thought we had an inversion here. So anyway, that's a recap of last month's stock market. Here's a quick, if you got my letter, called me up and got the letter last month, you would have, that I had covered about 30 markets. I usually highlight about 10 to 12 or so. And we had T-bonds. I had 3 dates forecasted for T-bonds, the 10th, the 16th, and the 17th. Here I show you on the chart here, the T-bond chart. There's the 10th was the exact low of the month. That's LOM, that green arrow there. We have it rallied up to the top of the channel here for a quick high. At the next date was the 16th, and then we made a quick pullback on the 17th. So we potentially had 3 potentially profitable dates, 3 out of 3. That's 100%.
Nice work.
I know, what's that again?
Nice work.
Thank you. I know your folks like currency stuff, so here we go. Here's the US dollar. I forecasted 8 dates. 7 out of the 8 were potentially profitable dates. We only had this one clunker here with the red encircled bar here that indicates a clunker. Here I had the low of the month on this pullback here, and so forth. So I have to work on that clunker. Huh?
Well, the biggest day in the dollar and specifically in the euro was on the ECB last Thursday. Did you have something for that? Because I know you
Well,
only covered, I believe, into the end of November.
well, the charts I'm showing you now were taken out of the December letter, which was published back on the 29th of November.
November.
So this is
Right.
just recapping the previous month's forecast. That's all.
Right.
I have some future charts coming up here in a moment. Okay. Here's the C Bank, which is my nickname for the central bank of Canada. I had a couple of things. I had a double astro radar alert for Canada last month, where I have 2 things I follow of a Canadian nature. We have the Central Bank of Canada, and we also have the Canadian National Chart, based on their astrological chart. And so we had several dates pop up here, and I track, and to monitor that, I do the Canadian dollar and also the Toronto Stock Index, which is the TSX. And you can see here that moving down here now, we had, let's see, Canadian dollar. And let me get to the results here. We hit on the Canadian dollar, I hit 5 out of 5 good dates. Canadian dollar based on the C Bank, the Central Bank of Canada, and the Canadian dollar based on the Canadian National was 6 out of 7 for 85.71%. Missed one there, huh? And here's the TSX based on the Central Bank was let's see, where is it? There we go. Hit 3 out of 5. And then the TSX on Canada was 2 out of 2. So we had total for the TSX was 5 out of 7 for 71.43%. Total score for both markets and both models was 11 out of 14 good dates for 78.57%. Here's your Canadian dollar chart here. There's a loonie right over there. And going up, we hit the high of the month right there, HOM, high of the month, where that red arrow is, and so forth. And I got both, the high of the month and the low of the month. That's pretty good, huh?
Excellent.
All right, moving ahead. Now we'll look into the future. What's coming up? Well, as of yesterday, like you mentioned, I had a big lineup between Saturn and Pluto. I think for the stock market and some things, this might have been the flip side of that August crash. We had this thing happen, but now I think we're inverted, so I think we made a high there, possibly made a high there yesterday, versus the crash low came around the August 24th, 26th window, and this aspect was last exact. So, and now moving ahead, we have the U.S. is very dominant this month, which means the the other cycles are not that prominent, and the U.S. is. So that means the things to watch are U.S. financials, and so your U.S. stocks, T bonds, and the U.S. dollar will be a key factor this month. So we have a date coming up here for the weekend, the 11th, AC after the close for the U.S. And let's see. Then we have some more dates. Oh, big cluster coming up mid next week, 15th, 16th. This also may indicate oil, U.S. oil, and agriculture markets in general, and something big happening politically with the U.S. government and particularly something going on with the U.S. Some world events and how the U.S. viewed, and some big news coming. Could also be tied in with the liquidity of the U.S. and possibly the Fed announcement there.
Yeah,
And
the
some
Fed is when? The Fed is what, a day before that date?
right. I think that the Fed is due to announce on the 16th. Right.
Okay, right there.
That's a
Okay,
Wednesday. That'll be
all righty.
a day before Kitty Hawk Day. Right.
Okay,
Kitty Hawk Day.
no.
That's the 17th. That's the day that the Wright brothers first flew.
Oh, Kitty Hawk. Okay,
1903.
okay.
You,
Where did you
I
have a
thought you
good seat? Did you have a
Dale.
good seat?
I thought you were there. All right, moving ahead here, we got some other things coming up here. Oh, then my next mega window, kind of like I probably my two biggest windows were yesterday, and then we have December 25, where I know the markets are closed that day, but the planets don't care. And so here we go, an outer planet station point. The outer planets are the most powerful, and so we'll have Uranus turning direct on the 25th. That's I have it indicated here as after the close of the 24th, and so that's a big deal for copper and stocks. So moving ahead, looking ahead here, here's the stock forecast. Basically, says what I already just said. Watch for the around the 7th and the 25th for the stock market. We have the here's the S&P chart as of last night. You can see how this is since the back in about 8 months ago when we topped out here in the March, April, May time period. You may remember that I nailed the S&P to the day there back in May.
You
Had
did?
the S&P and the Dow within one day in May, and now we had the big down there in late August and the retest on the lunar eclipse, which was Sunday night on September 20. Yeah, the September 27th was lunar eclipse. Was that low right there? And since then, we've rallied up, and now we're getting to, as of a day or so ago, we were getting up to this a lot of resistance up here, just about where the market got to a day or two ago, right?
What's your planetary intuition telling you about this? If we break this uptrend in the S&Ps, is your belief that it'll just be corrective, or is there potential with what you're seeing for us to retest and possibly take out those lows made in August and late September?
I think eventually we could do that. I think we're going to have, if we get any more rallying here, and we could pull back and then rally into, say, we get a low next week, and we come back up and go for Santa Claus rally. I think then we might be topping out in late December, early January. I haven't done January's work yet, so it's hard to say.
Okay.
But I
So
think
we'll
we
pull
have
back and then maybe a rally into Santa Claus. And everyone will get the Santa Claus rally they're looking for.
right, but we have to stay flexible because we don't. I'll tell you one thing about these station points. I go over that here in these notes. Does everybody get to see these notes, or do you post them, or do they just have
Yes,
to?
they could, we could see two paragraphs.
All right. Well, you can go. Here's the important things for these station points. I give you 3 points that usually happens for these station points. It has a high batting average for forecasting an important change in trend within one trading day. Number two, this usually occurs at or near the high or the low of the month. If you can buy some cheap strangles, those are the strangles are out of the money puts and calls. So if you could buy some cheap strangles, that might be a good deal because I think by somewhere around Christmas, we would be at the high or the low of the month, so that might work out.
Yeah, that's your
Planetary,
guess that the seventh may have been the top, and we go down into Christmas.
we could, yeah.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
just throwing out some different scenarios. That's what I said in the letter. I threw out the
Okay.
possibility that we'd have a Pearl Harbor. I think I said a Pearl Harbor top and a Christmas bottom.
Right.
But I also have a big cluster next week, and I don't like the. I'm not thrilled about the way this thing's setting up here. We didn't have an extended rally. We did. It wasn't this. We didn't have this top. Have a big rally, and then you get extremely overbought, and then you get the big turn. This is pretty messy here, So
Yeah, it
it
is.
makes me a little suspicious of this
But
high here.
let me ask you this, Norm. I know it's not planetary, but you spent time on the floor. So
Yes, sir.
Thursday we were down 300, and then Friday we were up 340, and then
Right.
yesterday we were down two. Um, that type of market action to me is indicative of a market topping because markets bottom in silence and they top with violence. And to me, it's kind of a sign of instability. You read it that way?
I like your catchy phrase there. Yeah, bigger picture, I would agree with that. I also think, the bigger picture, if we consider this economic expansion, bull market, whatever you want to call it, started in March of '09, and now we're, well over 6 years, which is one of the longest, bull markets, economic expansions for a long time, So this
So
is
March will be 7 years. This March
that's right.
2016.
They seldom go that long. And another thing to consider is in sort of the modern era here, since certainly since Reagan, every president is that's since Reagan has left office with a recession.
Yeah, good point.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
Obama took office. The S&Ps were 660. Fell apart
six six.
going into the
We
election.
made we made our low at 666.
Yeah,
Did you know that?
I know. I know. It's on my forehead,
Okay, there you go.
so I could buy, sell, and trade.
Probably
Um,
probably your PIN ID for your bank account or something, right?
yeah. Well, yeah. So,
All right.
some good stuff, Norm.
All right, let's move ahead here. Got to get you
Oh,
into currency land, right?
yeah.
So here we go. Japanese yen. Here's what I got some stuff coming up here for the yen. We had a possible turning point yesterday. Here's the chart here, the yen futures.
Mhm.
And we're looking for a possible turn here. If it doesn't work by today, then forget about it. I like to see things work within one trading day, as you indicated. Then we have a big cluster at the end of the year. But this chart
Yeah.
has the potential. It's been a consolidation here for like 5 weeks now.
Yeah.
Has potential here to make some kind of low here, for at least a trading
Just
low.
want to clarify to our community, this is a yen futures chart, which the pairing's the opposite way. So if
Right. It's
Norm
probably
gets his
inverted to the
move,
way. It's
yeah,
probably
if
inverted the
Norm
way
gets
you're.
his rally, we should be looking for a break in the way it's paired
Right.
up.
Probably inverted to the way you're used to looking at it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So interesting. Because that'll tie in. The yen's kind of a risk off trade, right? So if the yen's going to start heading up, that's kind of a flight to quality, which ties in with some of the things you see in the S&Ps.
Yep.
Okay, buddy.
Okay. Moving ahead, we got a time. It's morning time. Good. Always a good time to have a cup of hot chocolate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anytime's a good time to have a cup of hot chocolate. Right?
Wow, cocoa.
Are you a chocoholic, Dale? I am.
I like chocolate. I like chocolate.
There we go. Anyway, we had yesterday is a big day. That was part of
I'm
that big
hedged.
Saturn Pluto lineup
Hmm.
because Pluto, Cocoa is associated with Pluto, and so this might be one of the more interesting charts I have been reviewing here for that last day or so. You can see how this Cocoa is getting extended here now and bumping up against some resistance. So we have a possible trading top coming here for Cocoa it's kind of do or die here for the cocoa. It's going to break out. It's got to do it real soon, or it could roll over here.
Yeah, interesting you bring that up because everyone's talking about commodities being in a bear market, but sugar and cocoa, the softs, have definitely been fighting the downtrend in the CRB, haven't they?
Right. On the sugar there,
Maybe
if you
till now, till now.
right,
Maybe
sugar
they're
is
going to
in a
join
whole
it.
different. Sugar's on a whole different cycle. I forecasted
Yeah.
kind of an 18-month bear market to end in about so did that way back at the beginning, over 18 months ago, and then I had a 18.6 month cycle that said that sugar should bottom around September October of 2015, which is what it did.
Okay.
Moving ahead here now, here's crude oil. So I think this
This
is
is what everyone wants to know, Norm. Where's the bottom in the oil market?
well. Here we go. We had a significant price action yesterday. This is the February futures,
Yeah.
and you can see we broke this August low here yesterday. And I don't know where. I haven't had a chance to check this morning yet.
We're lower. I think we're lower again today.
Well,
Trying to come.
what I said in the letter is, and I didn't think it would happen quite this quickly. If you
We're
break
at
this level
30.
here, the next big level is back to the '09 lows. That was $32, $33, right?
Okay.
So everybody will
No,
be happy.
no, no
Fill up
turning
your tank.
points. So you would ignore long. You'd
Well, I
ignore
think we have
long
some turning
turning
points.
points until then.
Oh, I wouldn't say that, but here, time-wise, we have the 11th coming up, and then the 15th next week. And then there's a cluster at the end of the month, 28th, 29th, 31, 31 after the close.
Yeah.
So big cluster at the end of the month. A bit of a somewhat of a cluster was at about early to mid next week.
Okay.
Okay. So how do we get the free stuff, right? Here we go. I'm having some
Before you
email
do that,
trouble.
or while Norm's doing that, if you guys have any questions for Norm while he's still here, if you just text him, I'll ask Norm. So go ahead, buddy.
Okay. Just so they know that I'm not just some crazy guy off the street. I've got over 40 years experience. I'm a former Chicago floor trader. I was on the CBOE and the Chicago Board of Trade. So I've been doing this a long time. I've been doing it my entire adult life. And the study GAN, Elliott Wave. If you, I'm going to offer you a free copy of my current letter and a class that goes with that. About a 3-hour class. You're going to learn some astro, some GAN, some fractals, advanced Fibonacci, including Lucas numbers and all kinds of things. I'll try to cram 40 years of knowledge into about 3 or 4 hours, and then you can ask, then we'll follow up with that over a period of time. So, because we got the holidays coming up, I'm going to ask anybody interested to please contact me right away, because then the last 2 weeks of December, everybody goes in the holiday zone and nothing gets done. So, if you can contact me right away, I appreciate it. And then we
When's
can
your
get
next class start after in January?
well, the terms of the course, I do the class with the letter whenever anybody contacts me. Usually do that within a day or two, but I have the course, and that's officially starts in February. But I can get people started ahead of that, so we can get people actually could pre-register people and get them. They can jump the schedule and get a jump on that. But first, we gotta get them the letter so they can see if they like this or not, and if it fits what they do. And then there's a class that goes with that, like I said, for about 3 hours. So you can, if you're in the U.S., you can contact me on my landline here in sunny Florida at 239-594-3939. You can Skype me at norm.winski. And let's see, I have a temporary email address here until I get my email issues cleared up at Norm Winski. That's NORMWINSKI at yahoo.com. So there we go. I think I got all my contact info there. And
So
looking forward
anyone
to
that's
helping.
interested in learning about planetary analysis, Norm's the best.
Thank you.
So
And not only you get that, but I have some other things in there people like. I have the fractal models, which are really fantastic. And I do those for the currencies too. And they've had some great success with that. The Japanese yen, 2 years in a row in what was that, 13 and 14, Man, that just the fractal model. I get that in February based on the January price action and map out the whole year, and that's been a very high correlation on the for the Japanese yen, and also the nailed the high of the British pound uh, uh, back in 14. I think within a few days. It was unbelievable.
Okay,
So,
partner. If
all
I
right,
don't
well,
talk to you, if I don't talk to you, Norm, have a great month and happy holidays, happy New Year to you, and
you too. And
let's
want to wish
let's get.
all your listeners and you, Dale, a happy holidays and a happy, prosperous New Year.